Hello, and welcome to Dark Hearts with Stacy Lee. I have not one, but two stories for you today. Today we are talking about matricide, the act of killing one's own mother. We are going to talk about a murder that happened here in my town of St. George, Utah, just months ago. It's a very disturbing story. We don't see a lot of murder here in St. George. And then we are going to talk about Keri Murphy and Marianne Murphy. What makes someone kill their own mother? It's a deeply troubling topic, and it's even more distressing when it's a daughter who kills her own mother. We don't think of girls or women as being violent, but the reality is they can be. And these stories are a harsh reminder of that reality. Today we are talking about girls who kill their mothers. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you want to support me. I'm your host, Stacy Lee. Let's begin. Just weeks ago, I awoke to the news that there had been a murder here in St. George, Utah. Our community is one of the fastest growing cities in America, and it's very much a city in conflict. We have the good old boys crowd that still act and live like there are 30,000 people here, and we have the transplants who know our city only the way that it is now, a rapidly expanding county with 250,000 people here. There are 14 golf courses in a 20-mile radius here, and one of them hosts PGA tournaments and LPGA tournaments. We have luxury resorts that cost thousands of dollars to stay at. We have vacation homes and second homes, and St. George and the surrounding area very much feels like Palm Springs in the 1980s and 1990s. It's growing fast. In our area, there are these communities that have massive houses built solely for the purpose of renting out to large groups, people who come on vacation. So you'll see these areas where there are 20, 30, 40, 8 to 10 bedroom homes with, 6 bathrooms, and nobody lives there. They were built only for people to vacation in. Families come from all over the country to rent one of these large houses so they can all stay together and spend a week or two visiting Zion National Park, Bryce Canyon, Lake Powell, areas like that. It's in one of these large vacation homes that tragedy struck. It's a cool spring day here in Washington County when 2 cleaners are sent to a rental property located on Bellow Alley in Washington City. The vacationing tenants were supposed to have checked out at noon, so the cleaning company has arrived to clean and prepare the house for the next tenants. They go inside the house and see that the tenants' personal belongings are still inside the house and the garage door is open. As the cleaning crew members make their way upstairs, they are horrified to see a woman lying on the floor in a bedroom, covered in blood and apparent stab wounds. The police are called and they arrive shortly thereafter. 47-year-old Andrea Matrin of Auburn, California is dead on the floor of the large home, and she has been murdered. The police do a sweep of the house and find 2 cell phones and a wallet stuffed into a downstairs toilet, which led officers to believe that someone was attempting to destroy evidence. One of the cell phones belonged to the dead woman, Andrea Matrim, and the other phone belonged to Abigail Paige Flanagan, who goes by Jay. She is from Sheridan, California. The house was roped off and an investigation began. Police learn that 2 juveniles were vacationing with Andrea at the house. They are 17-year-old Abigail Paige Flanagan and 16-year-old Mihaela Gabriela Sorescu, who goes by Bella, and she is Andrea's daughter. The police look into who the 2 girls are and find out that both girls have a history of mental health disorders. Mihaela had threatened to kill or harm her mother in the past. The 2 girls were nowhere to be found, and the police learned that Mihaela was actually living here in St. George at a residential treatment facility. Abigail had also been treated at that same facility. Andrea was here in town to visit her daughter. Inside the vacation rental, police found several knives in the sink that had had been washed, but still had traces of blood on them. The cops found a pair of jeans with blood on them, and on one of the pant legs was the bloody imprint of a knife. The jeans belonged to Mihaela, Andrea's daughter. The two girls fled the scene in Andrea's car, and that Hyundai license plate was captured by a plate reader heading north on I-15 around my hometown of Cedar City, near midnight. The girls then changed course, and their car was recorded by a separate license plate reader traveling south in Las Vegas. The car was then seen again the next morning in Paramount, California. An arrest warrant was issued for both girls with a warning that they are dangerous. The warrant was for first-degree murder, second-degree felony obstruction of justice, and vehicle theft. The girls were located in California and extradited back here to Utah to face a judge.
You have been charged with some serious criminal offenses.
Two teenage girls charged with murdering a woman in a Washington City vacation rental made their first court appearance this week. 17-year-old Abigail Flanagan of California and 16-year-old Mihaela Sorescu of Washington City appeared via video before District Judge Eric Gentry on Wednesday. They're charged as adults with first-degree murder, obstruction of justice, and vehicle theft after 47-year-old Andrea Mottram was found stabbed 18 times inside a rental property on March 23rd. Police say the teens left the scene in the victim's rental car, which was later found abandoned in Southern California. They were arrested in Los Angeles County and returned to Utah earlier this week. Their next hearing is set for April 23rd. This is St. George News, your #1 source for local news.
Andrea Mottram was a social worker and co-founder of disability and refugee aid associations here in the U.S. and Romania. She led an advocacy and aid group for autistic people in Romania as well. This was a great woman who did great things, and now she was dead, murdered by her own daughter and her daughter's friend. Andrea had even adopted 2 sons with special needs. Mihaela herself was adopted. More information came out a month after the murder. Mihaela's dad found a very disturbing diary entry.
We have an update on the Washington City stabbing that left 1 woman dead. 2 teen girls, including the victim's 16-year-old daughter, have been charged with first-degree murder in the death of 47-year-old Andrea Mottram. Her body was found in a southern Utah vacation home last month. 16-year-old Mihaela Sorescu and 17-year-old Abigail Flanagan were formally charged as adults today in 5th District Court. Police say they found evidence in the rental home. Court documents obtained by Fox 13 News indicate Sorescu's father told investigators he found Abigail's diary in November, where she wrote that she hated her mother and wanted to kill her. He told police she has a history of violent behavior. The teens are being held in juvenile detention in Washington County.
The trial for Abigail and Mihaela has not taken place. I will update you when we find out what is going to happen to these 2 girls. Why on earth would they murder this amazing woman, Mihaela's own mother? What makes girls do something like this? And will they be using their mental illness diagnoses at trial? I will let you know when we find out.
Okay, ma'am, what's your name?
Keri Murphy. All I did was hear my mom scream, "Stop, stop, stop."
Okay, but did they break in or did they just come in?
I broke in.
It is the middle of the night when 16-year-old Keri Murphy called the 911 dispatch center in Humble, Texas, to say that her mother was being attacked by some men inside their house. Police rushed to the Murphy home thinking there was an active crime in progress, but by the time the cops got there, all they found was 48-year-old Marianne Murphy, covered in blood, dead on her bed. She had been stabbed to death. Savaged would be a better word for it. Marianne had 73 stab wounds. This was overkill. This is not something police usually see in a home invasion or a robbery. This was rage. The police find that not only has Marianne Murphy been brutally murdered, but that there is a .22 caliber handgun underneath her pillow. Now, their first assumption was that Marianne kept a gun there for self-protection, but if that was the case, why didn't she grab the gun that was literally right under her head and use it during this home invasion? Was she asleep? Did she not have time to get to the gun before her attack? Or was there no reason for her to be panicked? There was something else strange about the crime scene. Nothing was missing. If someone is going to break into a house in the middle of the night, they're usually there to steal items, but the attackers hadn't. They just killed Marianne and left. The police find a broken back window, but even that is strange. The opening left in the broken glass wasn't big enough for a person to get in or out of, and some of the broken glass was outside on the lawn. If the intruders broke the glass from outside in order to get into the house, the broken glass would all be inside the house, and it wasn't. The investigators knew something was not right here. Keri Murphy, Marianne's 16-year-old daughter, was hysterical outside the home, and police tried to calm her down so they could get as much information as possible from her. But Keri didn't have much information. She told responding officers that she hadn't seen anything. She'd only heard the screams of her mother being attacked. Keri's dad was at work. Keri said she'd been up late scrapbooking and that she'd gotten tired and gone to bed around 1 a.m. Not long after she laid down, she heard someone kick the door in, and then she heard her mother screaming. Keri told the police that she'd run out of the house to the next door neighbors, and they gave her a phone to call 911. The neighbors then waited outside the house for the cops, so Keri wouldn't be alone. The coroner was called to the scene, and Marianne Murphy's body was removed and taken for autopsy. Keri was taken to the police station for an official interview. Don Murphy, Keri's dad, Marianne's husband, and Scott Murphy, Keri's brother, then arrived at the police station where they were told that Marianne was dead. Immediately, the police are interested in Don's reaction. He doesn't seem that upset that his wife was dead. He didn't cry. He didn't yell. So the cops looked into Don and found out that he was at work when the murder took place. There were witnesses. But investigators also learned that Don and Marianne were having trouble in their relationship. Don Murphy drank too much, so the police had to consider Don as a suspect, even though he appeared to have an alibi. Then the cops found out that Marianne was having an affair with one of her coworkers. This was not a happy marriage, and the police thought perhaps this lover of Marianne's had killed her. They contacted this man, and he was genuinely shocked and upset that Marianne was dead. He admitted that he and Marianne were involved, but that it was strictly sexual and the two were not making plans to become a couple or leave their spouses. This man also had an alibi. He was at work at the time of the murder. So with both the husband and the boyfriend all but ruled out, the cops went back to square one and began to look more closely at Keri. Keri Murphy was a girl with a lot of insecurities. She was much taller than most girls her age, and she had a lot of body issues. She started wearing a lot of makeup and doing things to try and fit in with the social clique at school. And then Keri got into the choir, and apparently she has a really nice singing voice. She made friends in the choir. She wasn't an outcast. She wasn't a social pariah. She had a large group of friends, girls and boys, that she socialized with and spent time with. In this group of choir kids, Keri met 19-year-old Rebecca Keller, who went by Bunny. Rebecca was a senior at the high school, and Keri was a freshman, so there was a 4-year age difference. The two girls were instantly drawn to each other. Rebecca heard Keri's strong singing voice and took her under her wing. Keri thought Rebecca was confident and cool. Soon, Rebecca made sexual advances towards Keri, and Keri reciprocated, telling her brother that she was gay. Rebecca and Keri's relationship became all-consuming. Keri had never been in a romantic relationship before, and she fell head over heels for Rebecca. Not long after meeting Rebecca, Keri's behavior began to change. Keri was from a stable family who made a good living. Rebecca was not. Rebecca did not have the material things that Keri had. She lived in a trailer park home not far from Keri. Keri's brother Scott would later say, quote, "I had never seen Keri become completely and utterly infatuated with a single person." Keri was obsessed with Rebecca. Rebecca was the only thing Keri thought about and talked about. Keri started smoking. She started cutting class and missing curfews. She was breaking the house rules. And soon, tensions in the Murphy house began to rise. Keri had a very close relationship with her father, Don, but her relationship with her mother, Mary Ann, was troubled. And it became worse when Mary Ann found out about Keri's relationship with Rebecca. Keri hid her same-sex girlfriend for a while, but Mary Ann found out after Keri was caught sneaking out of the house to see Rebecca. Then Rebecca and Keri sat down with Mary Ann and Don and told them that Keri was gay. Both Mary Ann and Don were accepting of their daughter and said they didn't care if she was gay, but they had serious concerns about the age difference and about some of the behavior that Rebecca was engaged in. I mean, mentally and emotionally, there is a huge difference between a 15-year-old and a 19-year-old, and it is technically illegal. I wouldn't be happy with a 19-year-old sniffing around my 15-year-old. Mary Ann began to express her concerns to Keri, and soon the two were arguing constantly. And then that fateful night occurred. Mary Ann was left dead, murdered in her own home, and Keri was now under suspicion. Keri's version of the timeline of events did not match the evidence, and the cops had ruled out the husband and the secret boyfriend.
I grabbed my knife and I ran in her room. And this guy grabbed me.
Which guy?
The guy that I didn't recognize, and Zane and my mom. He was struggling and fighting her and kept pushing her down.
Now, you heard Keri mention Zane in that clip. So who is Zane? Zane Ahmed was a classmate of Keri's, and people say he had a crush on Keri, but Keri was not interested in Zane. She told him that, and the two worked through it and became friends. As the police interviewed Keri, they quickly realized that there were inconsistencies in her story, like I said, and the cops confronted Keri about those inconsistencies. Mary Ann's blood was coagulated when the cops got there. That takes time. Keri claims that she ran and called 911 as soon as these men broke into the house, but the evidence proved otherwise. Mary Ann's blood had time to thicken and even dry around the edges of the pooling. She wasn't attacked right before Keri called 911. Mary Ann had been stabbed maybe hours earlier and left in a pool of her own blood that had time to coagulate and begin to dry. Keri was adamant she was telling the truth, and so the police asked her to take a polygraph examination. Now, you know how I feel about polygraphs. They're not based in solid science, and they are often wrong, which is why the results are not allowed in court. But Keri decided to take the polygraph test, and she failed. So Keri changed her story. She told the police that the reason she'd failed the test is because she'd lied about not knowing who killed her mother. Keri was now saying that she did know who killed her mother. It was her friend, Zane. The police learned that Keri was constantly complaining about her mother to her friend Zane. She said that when Mary Ann found out her daughter was gay, she was initially accepting, or that maybe she was just pretending to be. Keri said that in private, this is what she told Zane, her mother berated her about her relationship with Rebecca and that she was very unhappy about Keri's life choices. Scott Murphy, Keri's brother, has always been adamant that Mary Ann's disapproval had nothing to do with the fact that Rebecca was a girl. It was that Rebecca was so much older than Keri and Rebecca was a bad influence. Mary Ann knew that Keri was getting cigarettes and alcohol from Rebecca, and this made Mary Ann angry. It would make any parent angry. So finally, Mary Ann put her foot down and told Keri that she was absolutely not going to see Rebecca anymore. This enraged Keri, and there were several big fights about Rebecca in the days leading up to Mary Ann's murder. Keri openly admitted to the police that on a regular basis, she would wait for her mother to fall asleep, and then she would take her mom's car keys and take the car and drive to Rebecca's house. Keri got caught doing this, and so Mary Ann took Keri's phone away from her and then grounded her. Mary Ann then began keeping a very close eye on her daughter, and this meant Keri couldn't sneak out anymore. She couldn't see Rebecca at night. Every day at school, Keri complained to Zane about how unhappy she was and about how much she hated her mother. And then, one day, Keri told Zane she had a plan. 3 days before the murder, Mary Ann caught Keri in the front yard of the house. Of course, Keri was sneaking out to see Rebecca, but she told her mother that she was in the front yard because she'd heard something and she went outside to check it out, thinking there might be prowlers in the area. Teenager is just, I mean, nobody's going to buy that. No teenager goes out to check for prowlers. Marianne didn't buy the story. She knew Keri was lying, and so she added on to Keri's time being grounded. Keri wanted to prove to her mother that there really was someone prowling around, so she told Zane that she needed his help. Keri asked Zane to come to her house late at night and pound on the walls outside Marianne's room. That way, Marianne would become convinced that there really was someone prowling in the area, and she would lessen Keri's grounding time. Maybe she'd do away with it altogether when she found out that Keri was telling the truth about hearing something in the yard. Keri's new story, after the polygraph, was that all she wanted Zane to do was scare Marianne. But on the night they planned to do this, Zane burst into the house holding a knife, and he attacked Marianne. Keri claimed that she had no idea that Zane was going to physically hurt her mother, let alone kill her, and that's why she'd lied initially. Keri claimed she never had any plans for Zane to come in the house at all. He was supposed to stay outside and bang on the walls of the house to scare her mom. Instead, he'd flown into the house and gone into a rage and killed her mom. The police locate Zane and bring him to the police station for questioning. Zane vehemently denies that he has anything to do with the murder. He tells the police that yes, he knows Keri, they're just friends. They're not even romantically involved. He would never do something like this for a friend. The cops are not terribly impressed with Zane, and they ask him to take a polygraph. Zane is taken to a separate room where the test is administered, and when it is over, Zane looks at the polygrapher and says, "I'm ready to confess." She thought, well, he must know he failed this test. So the police bring Zane back into the interrogation room where he cracks.
Now, you know who Keri is?
Yes, sir.
Well, I mean, what's y'all's relationship?
I thought we was friends, you know, and I'm just gonna be curious, what did I do? I have not done nothing to her.
When's the last time you seen her?
Seen her? Since, like, what? Like, I ran into her at the mall, like, way back. She contacted me and said, hey, can you do me a favor? I'm like, yeah, what's up? She's like, can you scare my mom? I'm like, yeah, sure.
Did she say why she wanted her mom scared?
No, sir. And so, I got ready. I wore black, all black. I had a hoodie over my face so no one could see me. I had a weapon on me, but I wasn't going to use it. I was just going to scare her mom.
Something very strange happens after this. After just admitting to the police that he'd gone to the house with a knife, Zane abruptly changes his story and says that he just made it up, that he was actually home with his family all night, and his family will back that up.
Okay, you're losing me. What time did you go over Keri's house then?
I didn't go to Keri's house. My brother, my dad, everybody in my family can tell you I was at home all day that Sunday. I didn't go anywhere. And this is the truth. I'm just scared right now. I'm really scared.
The cops tell Zane they know he's lying, and so he changes his story again and admits that yes, he stabbed Marianne, but even then, he's not telling the full truth.
Do you really remember how many times and where you stabbed her? You just don't want to tell me?
I don't remember how many times I stabbed her.
Zane is now claiming that Marianne woke up as he stood over her and he panicked and stabbed her 3 or 4 times. The cops know that Marianne Murphy was stabbed 73 times. The cops then go at Zane much harder, putting him through a long and grueling interview where they get more details of the crime and they share more details of the crime. Something is just not adding up here, and the cops know they have to get to the bottom of this. During this second round of questioning, Zane tells the cops that he walked up the stairs to Marianne's bedroom with the intention of scaring her. There is no staircase in the Murphy house. The Murphy house is a 1-story house. That's when the police know Zane was never there. During this interview, Zane's parents have come to the police station with a photograph proving that Zane was at home with them on the night of the murder. Someone in the family had taken a photograph of the family playing video games together. And as the police talk to Zane more, they realize he's not just scared, he is actually someone of below average intelligence, and he's telling them what he thinks the cops want to hear. He was so infatuated with Keri, he was willing to admit to a murder he did not commit. Zane is released from police custody and all pending charges were dropped. And now it was time for the cops to talk to Keri Murphy again. Keri is brought back in for more questioning, but this time she doesn't want to talk and she asks for an attorney. Now unable to talk to Keri, the police turn to her brother Scott, who affirms that Marianne wanted to put a stop to Keri's relationship with Rebecca because of the age difference and the belief that Rebecca was a bad influence on Keri. But there's something else. Days before the murder, Marianne went through Keri's phone and found that Keri and Rebecca had been sending nude photos back and forth. Marianne was outraged. She told Keri that this was illegal. Rebecca was an adult and Keri was a child. Marianne said she told Keri that if she wanted to, she would turn those photos over to the police and Rebecca would be arrested. So Keri was very upset and worried about this. And then the next day, Don Murphy came home from work early to find Rebecca and Keri getting out of the shower together, and he flipped out. He threw Rebecca out of the house, and then he told Marianne about what he'd witnessed, and Marianne lost it. This was the end in her mind. She told Keri that if she ever heard about her seeing Rebecca again, she was going to go to the police. This was a mom trying to do what was best for her daughter, not knowing that her daughter is a little psychopath. It's really scary when you think about it. As Marianne stewed in her anger, she made a decision that would push her unstable daughter over the edge. She actually called the police department and filed a complaint against Rebecca, and then Marianne took out a restraining order barring Rebecca from seeing or talking to Keri, even on the phone. This was a mom at her wit's end, trying to protect her child from an adult that really shouldn't have been with a 15-year-old girl. I believe Keri was 16 at the time. For the next few days, Keri and Marianne did not speak at all. The family had family dinner, and the two of them did not even acknowledge each other. They passed each other in the house without saying a word. Keri was angry. Marianne was angry. Everybody was miserable. Then Rebecca, defying court orders and her girlfriend's parents, somehow got a cell phone to Keri that Marianne and Dawn didn't know about. Keri and Rebecca called this the Bunny phone. Rebecca's nickname was Bunny. Now the police had a question. Keri had run to the neighbor's house the night of the murder because her mother had taken her cell phone away from her. If she had this secret phone, the Bunny phone, why hadn't she used that to call the police? The cops don't want Keri aware that they know about this second phone. So they ask Scott, her brother, if he knows the number, and he does. The cops use that number to pull the phone records, and while they wait for those records, they bring Rebecca Keller in for questioning. In her interview, Rebecca claims that yes, there was a secret phone, but that she hasn't spoken to Keri in almost a month and a half. You think you know where this story's going at this point. Hold on. Rebecca said that the relationship was too much trouble, and so she'd broken it off a month ago, maybe 6 weeks. Rebecca is then released, but minutes after she leaves the police department, the cops get the phone records back, and they prove that Rebecca is lying. She and Keri had been texting and calling consistently up to the murder and even afterwards. Rebecca is ordered back to the police station where she is confronted with the phone records, and that's when she breaks down. Rebecca tells the police that yes, she and Keri have been in constant contact. The police ask about the multiple text messages that were sent on the night of the murder, and Rebecca spills it all. She said that Keri texted her, telling her to come to her house immediately, that she had just killed her mom. She said Keri was her mother's murderer. Rebecca arrived at the house to find Keri covered in blood. Together, they concocted the story of a home invasion, and Keri cleaned herself up in the bathroom. This is why hours passed after the murder before Keri called 911. The police do a search of Keri's computer and found that Keri had been Googling methods of how to kill someone. She'd looked up pills, how to get a gun, and how long it takes to suffocate someone. We've got two psychopaths here. The police go through Rebecca's computer records and find out that she was much more involved in this murder than she wants the police to believe. While they were both Googling methods on how to murder Marianne, Keri and Rebecca were also talking to each other on the phone. They could match up the phone calls with the Google records. These two girls were planning this, and now they were caught. Both Keri Murphy and Rebecca Keller were arrested and charged with first-degree murder. But the question remained, who actually did the stabbing? Keri's family bonded her out of jail, and Rebecca's did not. So as Rebecca sat in prison, she began calling Keri, who was now at home. And I guess Rebecca didn't know that all jailhouse phone calls are recorded. The cops are listening to these phone calls, and in one of the calls, Rebecca says to Keri, "I'm just glad you didn't see it." And Keri says, "I did see it." Rebecca replied, "I told you to stay in your bedroom." And Keri says, "Well, I didn't." It wasn't Keri Murphy who'd killed her mother. It was Rebecca Keller who'd done the stabbing. The reason the murder happened on the 16th is because Marianne had found the bunny phone on that day, and Keri wouldn't give her the passcode. Marianne said, "Well, I'm going to take the phone to work with me, and I have friends at work who will be able to get into this phone." Keri and Rebecca knew that if anyone saw what was on that phone, more sexting, more nude photos, Rebecca would be going to jail, and they couldn't let that happen. So before Marianne could go to work the next day, the two little maniacs decided to kill her, murder someone over possibly going to jail for a little while on some nude photos. She might not even have gone to jail. They'd been together since they were both in high school. Murdering someone over that, like as kids. I'm having a hard time putting my head to it. The prosecution decided to try Keri Murphy as an adult, but before either Keri or Rebecca could go to trial, Rebecca pled guilty to the murder of Marianne Murphy. She is not eligible for parole until 2042, and she is sentenced until 2072. I don't know if she'll be paroled or not. Keri Murphy was given 30 years. These two lovers, so determined to be together that they would kill to make it happen, will now spend their lives apart. Keri is housed at the Christina Melton unit in Gatesville, Texas. Rebecca is incarcerated at the Hobby facility in Marlin, Texas. I find it interesting that in both our stories today, we have a pair of girls committing the murder of one of their mothers. That's part of the reason that I chose to tell these two stories together. I was not able to verify that Abigail and Mihaela from the first story were lovers, but there are rumors that they were. What is it about a bond between two girls or a girl and a woman that makes it more palatable to kill one of their mothers? Is this something they would not consider doing alone, but with a partner seems doable? It's really fascinating for me to think about it. I thought about it a lot while I was researching and writing the story. I don't think either one of these girls would have done this by themselves. There's something about having a partner, especially with girls. I mean, we go to the bathroom with each other. You know, the old joke about like, I don't want to go to the bathroom by myself. You take a friend to the bathroom with you. What is it in the female mind about having a partner that seems to be a good thing and a bad thing? In my humble opinion, that's an element of these crimes. Having a partner in crime seems to embolden these unhappy girls who hate their mother so much they are willing to kill her. We hear these stories from time to time, but they never get easier to understand. The bond between a mother and her daughter is unlike any other bond on earth. How could that unique and special bond, for many prized above all else, turn so deadly? I can't answer that. Thank you for joining me today for those two stories. I hope you enjoyed hearing them. And I hope, as always, that you learned something from them. Make sure you hit the like button on the video. I only get about 50% likes on my video, but I don't get any dislikes. Maybe some people don't know how important it is to hit the like button. It really helps support the creators you watch. So will you do it, please? Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more from me. I want to give a special thank you to my patrons. Your support keeps the channel going. If you want to join my Patreon, you will get bonus content that you cannot see or hear anywhere else. This is my podcast. It's on Spotify and Apple. I post brand new episodes every Monday and Wednesday. And you know, we've got 2 fundraisers going. Watch this video on my channel to learn how you can help us possibly solve a cold crime. And there's a short on my shorts playlist that will tell you how you can win this painting. We're doing a digital raffle. If you put in $5, your name goes in the raffle. 100% of the proceeds from the raffle goes to NCMEC, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. We're going to do that raffle in about a week and a half. So there's still time to donate. If you don't win the painting, you've donated $5 to a really good cause. I hope you're doing well. And as always, I look forward to talking with you in the comments. Stay safe, my friends, and be kind to each other. And I will see you next time on Dark Hearts with Stacy Lee. Bye.